The Big Ten and its member institutions are about to be very wealthy. Big Ten media rights coming up in 2023. Reports from Front Office Sports and then also reported by Sports Illustrated saying that their annual payout from media partners to the Big Ten Conference and consequently to the Big Ten schools is going to be over $1 billion in the next media rights package. The current media rights package expires after 2023. To put it all into perspective, $440 million is what the Big Ten is getting from its media rights partners. So it's going to skyrocket as expected. Live sports and this type of programming that gets ratings and gets eyeballs is very valuable to all of these networks. Now, when you also look at the report, one a little bit surprising, but if you really dive deeper into it, it's not that surprising, is NBC is going to look to get into the game. They're going to look to make a hard push to get into the media rights deal with the Big Ten Conference. All networks are going to, right? NBC, they've got some money to burn because they don't have the NHL package anymore. CBS, they've got some money to burn because they don't have the SEC on CBS 2:30 time slot. ESPN is going to take that over. I'll get to that in a minute. But when you talk about Big Ten media rights, you can talk about NBC, you can talk about CBS, you can talk about all these other networks, but you got to start at Fox. You got to start at Fox, and I'll tell you why. Right now, Fox's main property is the NFL on Fox. No doubt about it. They've had that since 1994. Any network that has the NFL, that's going to be number one. But then, what's number two? You would think, well, it's Major League Baseball. They don't have the NBA. They don't have the NHL. It's Major League Baseball. They've had that package since 1996. I would argue it's not. Right? Baseball is not as nearly as popular as it was when Fox first got the package in the mid to late 90s. College football is very popular, right? Especially that big noon kickoff. That Fox has hit a home run with that. That has become a very popular time slot, and especially the Big Ten Conference, right? Normally, a good majority of the time, that big noon kickoff game with Gus and Joel is a Big Ten game. Most of the time, that's what it is. And they have capitalized on that, and the ratings show that this is a big deal and this is a big money maker, and a lot of eyeballs are watching Big Noon Kickoff as it is one of the premier time slots on a college football Saturday. So how does this relate to media rights? Well, you got to think Fox is not going to let this go easily. I don't think they're going to let it go at all. Because remember, one also thing, Fox is the parent company of the Big Ten Network. So Fox, I don't believe Fox is not going away. Fox is not going to be like, nope, we're not doing nothing with the Big Ten. Even if they lose the primary rights, which I don't think they will, I still think they're going to be involved somehow. So I think Fox is going to put up enough money. It is a valuable enough product that with Big Noon Kickoff and all these other, with basketball and all these other things, they are, they're not going to let that go. Let's just say that. So now where does this leave us with the other networks, right? Let's go to secondary rights, which kind of belongs to ESPN and ABC right now. ESPN and ABC just spent some money. They're going to pick up the SEC time slot that was on CBS. So now all of SEC football, ESPN, the SEC and ESPN are essentially married right now when it comes to the media rights world. So now is ESPN and ABC says, well, our price is doubling to pick a Big Ten football. We're clearly in bed with the SEC, no doubt about it. We can talk about bias. I'm not going to talk about that right now, but some people may mention that in the comments on this video. But when I look at this, ESPN and ABC might say, well, our price is doubling. We think the SEC package is more valuable. We're out, or we do very little. Maybe we just do basketball or something like that. So now the bidding war is going to be for second place. It's going to be for the second tier rights. Remember, CBS already has that Big Ten basketball package on Sundays. So that might be, hey, we can pick up a little bit more of the Big Ten. And maybe CBS can do something where, they have a game of the week sort of thing. You might think that might work, but you've also got Big Noon Kickoff. But now let's talk about NBC. NBC is possibly in there. I think Peacock is a huge wild card in all of this because of all of the streaming services of the competing networks Peacock is the most viewed, and it is the most watched, and it is becoming the most popular out of all the streaming services right now. I think Peacock is a big bargaining chip right now for NBC, not just for the big revenue sports like football and men's basketball, but other sports, your wrestlings, your women's basketball. And I know the Big Ten has Big Ten Plus, a streaming service that they want to push and they want to promote, but Peacock might be able to get them more viewers. And, with Notre Dame being in the Big Ten for men's hockey, Peacock might be the place to watch Big Ten men's hockey. It seems to flow a little bit better with NBC possibly being the secondary rights holder to the Big Ten. Now, one point I wanted to make up as it pertains to college football. Notre Dame football on NBC, it's a big deal. Why is it a big deal? It's a big deal because they're the only team on that network, right? NBC is the Notre Dame network. Now what happens, even if it's a secondary game, probably even more so if it's a secondary game. Let's say you put, Michigan State against Penn State, and you put these secondary type of Big Ten games on NBC. Does that devalue Notre Dame's deal with NBC? I think if NBC wants to get into the Big Ten game, they got to think about the consequences. What's going to happen with Notre Dame? What happens with time slots? Who gets this time slot? Who gets that time slot? It's going to be very interesting to negotiate and navigate that. Maybe when Notre Dame is at home, they don't have a Big Ten game. When Notre Dame's on the road, they do have a Big Ten game. Something like that. I think NBC is in a great spot. I think they've got money to burn. And they got the streaming service. It seems like NBC could really be in a prime spot to capitalize. But what's going to happen with Notre Dame? We know Notre Dame loves that exclusivity that they have being on a premier broadcast network like NBC. Consequences. There's always consequences for action. I want to hear your thoughts on this. Who do you think? Do you like having Fox? Do you like the Fox broadcast teams? I think Gus and Joel are probably the best broadcast team in all of college football. The Big Ten is lucky to have Fox. But what do you think about these other media rights? Would you like to see NBC come aboard? Would you like to see more CBS? They already got the Big Ten men's basketball. Would you like to see ESPN hit the road? Leave your thoughts, comments below. Make sure you subscribe. It's been a while since we've talked about football. That's coming up. Stay tuned for that. I'm Big Ten Ted, and we'll see you in the next one.